Hey YouTube, Duty Domicile here with another review. This is the Beretta M9A4 Centurion G model. So in my last video I had another Centurion. It was the 92X in black. It was also G model. There was nothing wrong with it. The only thing I did not like with it, well actually there's two things. Number one, didn't have squared off trigger guard, completely aesthetic. There is nothing wrong with the rounded one, but I'm a fan of the classic style of the square one. And number two, it did not have a threaded barrel, and I could not find a threaded barrel for the life of me. I went all over online. The only thing I could think of doing is maybe get a barrel through Barstow. The only issue with that is it's about, I don't know, 275, 350 bucks, somewhere around there, if you want a barrel that's fitted and cut and everything, and that is just way too damn much. Now what I would like to do with this thing eventually is add a Jarvis single port comp to it, which will extend it out to about this length, so a little bit further than the full size length, but not by much. And I just like the look of that, and I think it'll probably help a little bit in the recoil. However, with this gun, I still need to go out and actually shoot it. I'm sure the recoil is going to be just the same as the last one, which the recoil impulse wasn't bad at all. Even with the longer barrel, I don't think that's going to do anything with the reciprocating mass of the actual Centurion slide. So I've done two upgrades to this pistol already before even shooting it, and I want to share some information with you guys. So I got a plain tactical trigger and bag kit. Now these are the original components that are in here now. However, what it did come with, I ordered the Beretta match hammer to help with reset, and I'll show you guys that here in a minute. And I also got the 13-pound trigger spring, or hammer spring, and it did lighten that double action pull quite a bit. Not as stagey, and it is nice and smooth. And of course the optimized trigger bar and sear spring and everything that came with. And second upgrade I did with this is I put this Wilson Combat mag guide in there. Looks pretty nice. Now on Langdon's website it says it is not compatible with the 92Xs and the Beretta M9A4s or A3s. However, on Wilson's website it says it is. So this is what I'm gonna show you. So it is and it isn't. Well, it is compatible because it does fit in here and it functions fine. But the problem is you will see just a tiny bit of gap. Now, I don't know. Now, this could just be mine. Maybe the hole was cut just a little bit too far up. So when I put a little bit of pressure on it right there, it is flush. But right now, it is not completely flush. So maybe something with the older 92s. I don't know if they were just a tad bit longer in the rear or what, so it doesn't get that exact flush look if you look at it real close. But when it's a little bit further away, not too much of an issue. So with that being said, I'm still pretty happy with it. Now this Beretta, of course, it came with the awesome little ammo can box, and this one came with three 15 round Metgar mags, as you can see. Well, let's see if we can get it in focus here. Alright, well, it's Metgar. So like I said, I've yet to shoot this one, but I doubt there's going to be any issues with these Metgar magazines. And I also have extra 17 round Beretta mags that I got at the store, and they're packaged by Beretta. I don't know if they're made by Beretta or if they're actually made by Metgar for Beretta, but they're pretty good mags as well. So let's take a look at that trigger pull. Alright, first, this weapon is clear. The only thing I have in here is a red snap cap, as you can see right there. One thing I will say with the slide, for right now, it does need to be broken in. It's not gritty, but it seems a little slow going back into battery, and I think that's just because the Cerakote on here. That's pretty common with Cerakote guns, and I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue when I put some rounds downrange. Alright, so let's start with the single action pull. Right now, it breaks around 3 pounds. Very nice. Now let's see that reset. Right there. So that's very nice. Now for the double action pull, it's pulling about, I would say 6.5, but very smooth. Does improve it quite a bit. So I'm very happy with that. The only thing I have noticed is with this particular gun, maybe I need to loosen a screw just a tad bit, but maybe not. There's a little bit of rubbage between the trigger bar and the grip here. Let's see if you can hear that rub. Well, I don't know if you're able to hear it or if the mic was able to pick it up, but there is just a slight bit of rubbing on the inside. It doesn't really cause too much friction. I put a little bit of oil right there, kind of help it out. Now, what I could do is take the grip off and lightly sand it on the inside, maybe smooth it down a little bit more. But to be honest with you, for all intents and purposes, it's pretty good. Now the fit and finish on this is actually a little bit nicer than the 92X that I had. So this thing has a little bit more of a fitted finish on the rear. Now on the 92X, there was a little bit more of a gap from the frame to the slide, or protrusion. The frame was sticking out in the back just a little bit more, so it wasn't as flush fit as this one. So I do like the fitment of this just a little bit more. Now in this next clip, I'm going to show you the original trigger pull on it, so you guys can have a good comparison contrast. Alright, so let's test out the stock trigger pull. It is a smooth trigger pull, actually a little bit smoother than the other 92X Centurion, even though it has all the same components in there. It's still about that 9.5, maybe 10 pound mark. Now switching over to single action, a little bit crisper. And sorry, 1 sec, let me test out that reset. Right there, but it's not very audible or tactile. About a 4.5 pound trigger pull-ish. So we're gonna get this thing all done up with the Langdon Tactical Trigger Job in a Bag kit, and after it's done, we'll show you the results of it. All right, see you guys in a sec. Well, I hope that last clip was informative as far as the stock trigger pull on these things. So originally I was thinking about re-Cerakoting this for a sniper gray and black components type of offset, but to be honest with you, the coloration on this is really growing on me. It's more of a bronze type of coloration at the bottom. I think in the video it's coming off a little bit more of a yellow hue to it than what it is in real life. However, it's a very nice peanut butter type color, and I really like it. I don't really see any reason to change it. Maybe after I beat it up for a few years, then I may continue on and redo the color scheme. But for right now, I think it's just fine the way it is. As you can see, I did put the bigger grips that came in the box with it. Just fits my hand a little bit better. I do like that original feel just a little bit more versus the Vertec type grip. Now as far as the magazine release, Magazines in these, when you first get them, they feel a little bit stiff. I don't know if that's because the actual coating or maybe spring is stiff, but it's just something that's going to break in over time. Oil it, keep on using it. I'm sure it'll loosen up a little bit. The magazines shoot out pretty nice, so even though it's coated on the inside here, it's not sticking at all, and they feel really nice and functional. So as far as this, not really a mag well, but a mag guide from Wilson Combat, you can see the little logo right there. Got it for about 50 bucks. Now, how functional is it? Compared to a traditional mag well, I think traditional mag wells may aid you a little bit more, but it's a nicer look. Kind of takes away from the just void spot here, and it does assist if you work on indexing it kind of from the back a little bit more. However, from side to side movement, you know, if you're off, it's not going to help that much, but it's nice, and for 50 bucks, nice little aesthetic. Plus, I don't really like the lanyard loop in it, so I think it's a pretty decent and cheap upgrade to have. So at the range, we started off at 5 yards just to get some nice easy groupings down, getting used to that recoil and the Lang tactical trigger job in there. And I believe I did pretty decent with this group. It was only 5 yards, so it's nothing too hard and nothing too astonishing, but I was pretty pleased with the overall performance of it. Now in this next clip, you are going to see a malfunction, and the gun actually malfunctioned on me about 2 or 3 times. It was a failure to feed, and I figured that may be the case because it is Cerakoted and it just needs a little bit of time breaking in. But after first few mags, I didn't have any other issues. Now before this next clip, I did take the target out at 25 yards and was trying to do some headshots with it. However, I was pulling low and Will was just actually kind of pulling the trigger. It wasn't the best groups. And as another excuse, the front sight is a wide combat sight. It is not necessarily made for precise bullseye shooting, but it does get you on center mass and on the target pretty good. Now at this distance, I pulled one there to the right, as I'll point out here, and then the other ones hit their mark. Now, like I said, all the other rounds below that, even to the one a little bit right of the neck, those were the ones that were out at about 25 yards in this range. Overall, I'm actually pretty pleased with the accuracy of this. Like I said, the gun is plenty accurate. All it is just a shooter kind of getting used to it. And in the future, I'm planning on trying to put some type of red dot on there, or maybe just thinner sights. Now in the same range session, I did take the Glock 48 out just to see how good I would do with that. Just got it the other day, and we'll do a future video on that. This is the target that you seen that was hanging up at the 7 and 10 yard mark. After a while, I just started playing around with it. So all the rounds over here were from the Beretta, and overall I'm pretty happy with how tight most of those groups were. Over here were the groupings from the 48, so of course still kind of getting used to that, and it's kind of hard trying to transition from one pistol to the other, especially not just in size but in completely different trigger pulls. I probably for this outing should have just took the Beretta, just kind of get a little bit more time, get used to it. And out here again, just taking various shots actually with both of them at various distances. But overall, like I said, with the Beretta, I'm pretty happy, and that trigger job in the bag worked out pretty good. Before I wrap up this video, I kind of want to get into one little thing about the M9A4s, or more or less its predecessor, the M9A3. So, of course, before I got this gun, what I was watching YouTube videos, probably just like you guys are, right? You know, window shopping through the interweb, seeing how to spend our hard-earned money. So when I was watching those videos, there was some misinformation that was being put out about the Beretta when it comes to the military. Now, to get even more information, I highly encourage you guys to look up a YouTube channel called Small Arms Solutions. All right, so the host there, by the name of Chris, he does an excellent job reviewing the Berettas and actually giving a really good detailed history about them and really debunking some myths and rumors by stating fact. And this guy would know. He's been in the industry, the actual firearms industry, and I don't just mean just as a gun tuber or anything. I mean, he actually worked with acquisitions programs, so he's actually very knowledgeable on this. But yeah, so the M9A3, it never really competed in the MHS program. All right, of course, it's the M9A4, but we're going to be talking about the M9A3 because a lot of times people just mention one with the other. So the Army was pretty much done with Beretta at that point. Beretta did reapproach the Army saying, hey, you can turn your old guns, we could retrofit them, or we could make a new one, you know, the M9A3, and you know, keep that relationship going. So the Beretta, as good as a gun as it is, the Army, for its reasons, and it probably had some good ones, decided to say thanks but no thanks. We're going to continue on with the MHS program with these other contenders and see what we can get. So of course, I think options like Glock and SIG were probably better options for the actual Army, or well, the military in general, only because of this. Well, not just because of, but this is a main factor. A lot of people try to deem the 1911 as an expert's gun. Well, if that were the case, then it wouldn't be so damn easy to shoot. Versus the Beretta, you actually have to take some time with it, just because it has that, you know, a little bit stiffer double action, especially if you don't have a LTT trigger job in there, and you know, and then transitioning to that lighter single action pull. Now, of course, these guns, they can shoot wonderfully, but you do have to put the time and training into them, and they are a little bit heavier. So between the weight, the time and training, which costs a lot of money, by the way, to try to train up a troop. I mean, it takes hundreds, if not actually more or less thousands of rounds to get a troop really good and proficient with one of these guns. Well, depending on what your level of proficiency is. And then when it comes to logistics, you know, keeping up with all sorts of, you know, repairing and replacement parts. The other guns are a lot easier, so yes, the Army did do a good job in that. Now, with that said, my personal opinion and my final thoughts with the Berettas, I absolutely love these things. I do believe these are better guns for me. Now, reason why is because I'm going to be putting in a lot more time and practice into this. You know, I've shot double single action guns. I was actually kind of raised up on them, and that's what I was shooting before I shot a lot of striker fire guns. So with that being said, I'm comfortable with them. I think they're going to, or I think this thing's going to last a long time. And if you're thinking about spending the money for one, I say why not? Now, of course, this is a community type channel, so if you are an experienced Beretta owner, have done mods to your weapons, please put in the comments below what your favorite model Beretta is in the 92 series. Now, we can talk about the PX4 Storm later and all that good stuff, but in the APX1, but let's just say focus on the 92 series. Put in the comments what your favorite Beretta 92 is, and tell us a little bit why. If you had some mods done that really helped it out, let us know. If you had some mods done that didn't really help it out and you would try to steer people away from, please let us know too. And if you're a new person to Beretta, or maybe even just new to guns in general, you know what, hey, leave some comments down there, and let me tell you, this community, it actually does a really good job trying to help one another out. So thank you guys for watching. Remember, love yourselves, love one another, be safe.